Talking in your sleep. When you fall asleep at night, your body goes into rest mode. But some people's minds don't fully shut down and they start talking in their sleep. Of course, not consciously. Sleep talking, scientifically called somniloquy, is a type of parasomnia. I wonder who came up with that name. For those wondering, parasomnia is basically a sleep disorder, sometimes referred to as things like sleep terrors. Kind of a weird name, right? This condition most commonly occurs in the early stages of non-REM sleep, and sometimes during REM sleep as well. Let me briefly explain the sleep stages so no one gets confused. Normally, during the REM stage, the body's muscles are almost completely paralyzed. This is called rematonia. If our bodies didn't have this mechanism, we would physically act out the movements we experience in our dreams, which could be dangerous. However, in some people, this system doesn't work perfectly. In particular, the brain's speech centers can become partially active, while the areas responsible for consciousness remain inactive. That's why some people just mumble in their sleep, while others can form clear sentences.
This kid, he put a couple hours in front of his like I had to leave. It was said about that. Nevertheless, we've not heard hide nor hair of him since then, and it's now we're into July, whatever today is, 4th or 3rd, something like that.
In fact, studies show that most sleep-talking phrases are short, simple, and emotionally driven. Sometimes they even give clues about what the person is dreaming. It's kind of like anesthesia, and I'm honestly afraid of anesthesia because I have no idea what I might say. Hopefully, I'll never be in a situation where I need it. In some cases, people make sounds as if they're speaking a completely unknown language. This happens because the brain is combining random bits of information in the background, and it comes out as speech. By morning, they don't remember anything. Exploding head syndrome. You go to bed and try to fall asleep. Just as you're about to drift off, you suddenly hear a loud noise inside your head, like an explosion. It doesn't have to be an explosion, though. It could sound like a gunshot or any sudden loud noise that startles you. But there's actually nothing there. It's just your brain playing tricks on you. Exploding head syndrome is also classified as a parasomnia. It usually happens during the transition between wakefulness and sleep, which is actually one of the most sensitive states for the brain. During this phase, the brain doesn't fully shut down, and some areas remain active. Normally, as you fall asleep, the brain gradually shuts down sensory systems. But in exploding head syndrome, this transition isn't synchronized. Research suggests that it may be caused by sudden, uncontrolled neural activity in the auditory system. In other words, the brain's hearing center produces signals even when there's no real sound, making it feel like a real explosion. Some sources say it might be related to irregularities in calcium ion channels. But honestly, I have no idea what that even means. Still, I thought I'd mention it for the curious ones. After hearing the sound, you might also experience sudden muscle jerks, an increased heart rate, fear, and sometimes flashes of light. It shows that even the brain isn't fully aware of what it's doing and basically sends a shock through your whole body. Believe it or not, some people experience this only once in their lives. Once I even dreamed about a meteor hitting the ground. I don't know how to describe it, but when it hit, it sounded like a bomb exploded in my head. I ended up having a mini fear of meteors for a few days. In general, this condition isn't dangerous unless it happens frequently. If you experience it often, it's a good idea to see a doctor. Sleepwalking. Most of you probably know this one. It's when someone gets up and walks around unconsciously during sleep. One of the creepiest aspects is that the person's eyes are often open. Sleepwalking usually occurs during deep sleep, before the REM stage. Research shows that in people who experience this, the brain's motor regions become active, while the areas responsible for decision-making and consciousness remain asleep. A sleepwalker can walk around the house, talk, or even drive a car. The next day, they remember nothing. One of the scariest things is that if you stand in front of a sleepwalker, they might stop and stare directly into your eyes, as if they see you. But in reality,
Lexi? Lexi. Hey. She's just standing here staring at me.
Lex. Hey. Come on, go lay down.
you can wake a sleepwalker gently, but a safer method is to guide them back to bed. Waking them suddenly can sometimes lead to dangerous reactions, even if it's rare. In short, sleepwalking can be dangerous depending on the environment, and it's basically a state where a person turns into a kind of zombie. Also, sleepwalkers are not dreaming while walking. Their consciousness is off. You're essentially seeing a body being controlled automatically by the brain. Sleep texting. Yes, this is real. You go to bed, fall asleep, and in the morning you check your phone, only to see that you've sent a bunch of messages to someone you like, and maybe even got blocked. This is basically a modern version of sleepwalking. Instead of walking around, you pick up your phone and start texting. It's like existing parasomnia is evolving with modern habits. Similar to sleepwalking, consciousness is still off, but the brain is partially awake. People can send messages, but they're usually meaningless, full of typos, or completely random. Research shows that during sleep texting, the brain's motor cortex is active, the visual system is partially functioning, and the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and control, is suppressed. That's why messages are sent unconsciously. Triggers include excessive phone use before bed, stress, mental fatigue, and irregular sleep patterns. Even notification sounds at night can activate the brain and cause automatic responses. If you text a lot during the day, you may be more prone to this, and it can happen repeatedly. It's honestly fascinating. From sleepwalking to sleep texting, welcome to modern parasomnia. Some of you might already feel uneasy about this. It can happen to anyone. While it's not physically dangerous, it can definitely cause social problems. You might reveal personal information or send embarrassing messages. Weird, right?